Hey, YouTube. How is it going? I hope all is well. Today, we've got some things to go over, some details about the giveaway. Riley O, you are important in this as well as you there, Andy. Or Andrew, excuse me. My apologies. Well, Andy as well. He should be in any moment, I imagine. I'm sorry if I keep looking away. I'm trying to keep up with the chats, trying to make sure everything's working the way it should. So far, everything looks pretty good. So, let me get on over in here. Cool, that's looking great. All right. I hope everybody's doing well. It's been a busy week for me, myself. Lots going on, and, well, it's finally come. It is the weekend of all weekends where we get to give away that guy. Today, we're enjoying ourselves some Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. I believe it's actual barrel proof, even. It's the good stuff. And I've even got it out of my appropriate Jack Daniel's glass. So... Can't drink your Jack without your Jack glass, right? Just trying to stall a little bit to get some people up in here. I'm also learning there's some new buttons here that you can push. Matthew, you are, I believe, also in the competition. So I have people that are paying attention. And Short Circuit, for the life of me, I can't understand. You only ever come in the lives and comment on things. I can't see you in my subscription list. And there's another gentleman that goes by Spent Electrons that has the exact same icon as you. And every time I see you and I see him, I get you two confused. Spent Electrons has several points in the game, actually. So hopefully he'll pop in so I can finally weed out who of you is who which is which. So... to kind of give you an idea, my plan is for this Sunday. I do not know exactly what time. I'll probably kind of nail that down before the end of this stream, or at least I hope I will. The idea is to try to get a time that works pretty well for everybody. That's why I kind of want everybody here to try to work that out. It has to happen this weekend, or it won't happen for a couple of weekends, so it needs to happen now. You are spent. Okay. Well, just realize that you do have points in the game. And unless you're BSing me right now, I'm pretty sure it was you because the icon, like I said, there's no way that two people have the exact same icon with the exact same everything. So, yeah, no, you are subscribed if you are Spent Electrons. So, it just doesn't show. So that's what I was trying to get out a couple episodes ago, or several videos back anyway. There are two ways that you can set up your account for how I, as a content creator, can see you. So one of those ways is as public, which is to say that you've made your subscription to me public, so I can see it and everyone else can see that you are also a subscriber of me. Or the other way is private, in which case, hey, Colby's here. All right, thank you for coming in. I appreciate that. The other way is to do private. And in private mode, I can't see you and no one else can see that that you are a subscriber to me, which makes it extremely difficult for me to vet who is actually a subscriber on this channel. All I know is I've got 2,500 and something subscribers, and when I go through my list, there might be 200. Out of that 2,000, there might be 200 that have a public subscription. It's really, really difficult to vet people. Short of literally going and searching for every single individual's page and trying to suss them out myself. So, okay, that makes sense then. Okay. So, with Spent Electrons, etc., etc. So, Short Circuit, you are now. They have kind of gone back to the old way of doing it without having the weird numbers at it. At least that makes it a little bit easier to understand who's whom, which I think is actually kind of important. When the moment they did that weird little thing and started putting like the weird numbers after your name, it was just like, what the hell? Like, yeah. So, no, I didn't assume that you were hiding anything, but it was just, sometimes it's just difficult. That's all. So we're going to go to a list here in a minute. I'm just kind of trying to give some more people a chance to get in here. We got 11 of you, so that's pretty good. This won't be an exciting episode as much as it is informative for those of you who are in the game. And we're going to see I don't think you are, Riley. I think I actually can see you. And we're going to go to a list, and I'll be able to show you in a second what I mean. I guess 11 subscribers is enough. Well, 11 people is enough. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to show you my screen. And it's going to look a little weird right now, so I'm doing picture-in-picture, but I only have one monitor, so I can only see one thing at a time. I'm working on that. By this weekend, my plan is to have 2 monitors so I can look at 2 different things at the same time, so I can follow your comments and I can follow the screen without having to look all weird. So right now, it's going to look like I'm looking up and away. Just be mindful that I'm looking at this. So what are we looking at? This is the game right here. And you can see that your name has a point score next to it. You can see I've labeled it nicely in order for you. I believe everything's actually in alphabetical and alphanumerical order. How's that? So obviously Internet Money has the most points. Let me explain why. So Internet Money, John, Team YDNA, Team A-Tech, the man of many monikers, which I'm shocked he's not here right now. He's got no excuse. But he has put in the most effort this whole time. I mean, literally from the second I said go, he was on the jump. He completed every game in every way. He's done mentions, he's done this, he's done that. Like every bit of effort that you could possibly put into this game, he has put into it. Hence why he has 4 more points than the next person in line. He did all the work. I believe if you completed every single game in its entirety, you would have gotten a total of like 8 points or something like that. 7 or 8 points. I can't remember. It didn't matter because nobody got that high. You're going to have to just realize that I did the best I could at keeping track of the scores on these things, and I used the help of my AI bot to do so. So if you feel that you don't have enough points, and you feel that you are not on this list, and you're watching this and you feel like you're not on that list, you better get down here to this email, legacyamplification@gmail.com, and you better have some evidence. Send it to me like now. You basically have until like Saturday to do so, because that's the last chance I'm going to have to update this before the game on Sunday, the big game on Sunday. I know there's football, but you know what? If you want to win a several $1,000 amp, then you're going to want to stick around. It won't take that long, honestly. I think the game should only take about an hour, hour and a half. So tops, hour, hour and a half. So I won't get into your football game too much. You'll make it to halftime. I haven't decided exactly what time we're going to do that yet either. So in either case, looking again at the screen here, you'll see that there's a ticket number, and they are randomly assorted amongst you. So the numbering is a little odd. I apologize. I bought real tickets, and I was going to do this out of a little blower machine, but it's just too much of a pain in the butt. I don't really have the space to pull that off, and it was just going to be noisy, awkward, and just I figured I can get a little bit more interaction and a little bit more, what's the word for it? And I can't see your comments right now, so I apologize. I'll float back and forth here in a minute, but so bear with me. I can't see your chats at the moment. But I figured it would just be easier, more fair. The randomosity or the randomness, if you will, of this game would be as good as it can possibly be with this. So I set up something in Google Sheets that randomized all the numbers and assorted it out to you based on your point score. And then if you look over here where it says public description, that's what I was talking about. These are the individuals here with the 0 or an O. It's actually a capital O. It's just full circle. I can vet you. You're vetted. These are the names of the people that I know I can find in my list. So if that person wins, I can email you or find a way at least to get in touch with you. The remainder of you, I'm going to have to go searching, and that's just more work. And you can see where the spread of those that have the most point kind of live up here in the upper echelons, right? Those are the ones that are most easiest for me to vet because they are obviously public. Public is a huge thing. I think Cold Coffee PG is like the only one that's not in the top 5 that doesn't have a public thing. So I have no idea how to get in touch with him other than to go to his channel and try to bug him about stuff. I don't really want to do that. I kind of need you to play the game with me a little bit. My thought process is kind of that if you really want to win this thing, you'll put in that effort to make sure that you watch this video and go to this website, or not this website, but to this email address here and let me know your contact information. Just say hi. I was talking with Mustang Sally earlier and let her know, or was it Maria Brown? Maybe it was Maria Brown. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. I thought Maria Brown was in here. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. There she is. Maria Brown. There you go. You do have a point, but you're not public, so I can't, I can get in touch with you. I guess you could say you're vetted because I know how to find you. But just reach out to me, please. Let me know you're there. Say hi. Get ready to give me some sort of contact information, be it a phone, number, or an email at the very least. Just say, hey, it's me. I'm so-and-so. If I win, please contact me. That's it. All right. So you'll see here we got a called ticket. You can see my beautiful face right in this general area. But let me bounce back here and see what's going on in the comments because I have not had a chance. I'm shocked that Andy's not here because he said he was going to be here. Cool setup, man. Looks professional. Oh, thank you. There's Angry Tube Man. Hello. I saw your video this morning. I am there with you on that one. You're kind of Andy. Did anyone ever get your quote thing? No. I'm kind of shocked, and I'm not going to give you the answer because it doesn't even matter at this point. I closed that game. Nobody got it. We did the other thing, and honest to God, the people that I thought were going to answer to it did. So that added, I think there was like 6 or 7 people that got in there and did it right and managed more points. Andy being one of them. He actually managed to get more points than he probably thought he was going to be honest. I don't see any reason. I can't tell you. Like I said, I think Spent Electrons is in there, and if you see an O next to your thing, that means you are vetted. So, Andy, there he is. All right, you're there, dork. I finally made it to the bottom of the list. My apologies. All right, so now we're gonna bounce back into here. So I did run some scenarios on this already. These numbers are set in stone. They're not moving. So you can take a snapshot of this page right now if you want, and it'll be the same when we get back, unless somebody changes up the game a little bit and gets in contact with me, which I don't think there is. We've got 97 tickets. We're about 100. That's what I was shooting for. We've got 35 actual players in the game. So imagine that. Now, how this is going to work. I'm going to hit this button right here. It says draw. Click. My little thingamajig is going to do some sort of calculation, and then it's going to spit out a number. It's going to say 282170. Totally random. I'm going to hit OK. And you're going to see here that it struck a number. So that number is struck, and then you'll see down here that the number is in the queue, or where do you want to call it? The sorry, you're not it list, right? So it's just a way for everybody to kind of keep track of things. You can see when it was called, at what time, because they will go numerically. This will shift to the left and then down or whatnot. And then you can also see if you had a number drawn. So if I'm going to click again, it'll do the same thing. And next thing you know, we're going to see 2. Next thing you know, there we go. Next thing you know, we're going to see 2 tickets struck down and in the queue right here. So that's how that's going to work. I'll go through it several times. I'll click this button, 97 times, which is several times technically, and it'll go down the list. Now, what I can tell you is I have ran this scenario a few times, and you will be surprised it doesn't go how you think it does. Just because Internet Money has 10 tickets in the game doesn't necessarily mean he's going to win. In fact, of the 5 times that I have ran it, he didn't win once. Andy actually ended up winning in one of them. Maria Brown actually ended up making it to the top 5, and she's only got the 2 tickets there, or the 1, maybe the 2, whatever it was. She made it into the top 5, and then it was a very shocking list. I had one individual, I believe it was Randy. In one of the last games I ran, it was Randy, Windsor, and Andy that all ended up in the top 3, believe it or not. But you just never know. It is completely random. And as we get to the last few, it really starts becoming anybody's game. Because the way that this algorithm is set up is that it goes through all the numbers, and anyone that are struck, it removes it from the queue, and then it randomizes with the numbers that are left. So it knows that there are 97 numbers to choose from, and the next time around it knows there's 96, the next time around it knows there's 95, etc., etc. And it randomly picks one of those numbers on that list. And as you can imagine, when you get down to the last 10, your odds start shrinking pretty quick. So obviously having more tickets in the game helps, but what I have noticed is that the whoever gets into like the top 10 has pretty good odds altogether. If you're in the top 10, you're probably going to be there at in the top 5 thereabouts, or so. Anyway, you get what I mean. All right, so let's go back to me because it's all about me. So we're going to go ahead and turn off that. All right. So why are you here? Why are we doing this? Why is this important? Again, just to kind of recap on a couple things. I cannot get in touch with all of you. I don't really have a way to vet all of you. So I need your help. You need to go to that website the email that was on that page. Go back, find it. Email me at legacyamplification@gmail.com. and let me know that you're here. I would say that it's important for you to be here at game time. And since I have at least a few of you here, what is the best time on Sunday in the afternoon for you guys? I know that we're spread across the country. I know we got some people in New York, and I know we got some people in California, such as me. I don't care when we do it. I'm open all day. It's I know, Riley, you're on the other side of the globe practically. I know there's people in other countries. It's kind of going to be challenging for you, Riley. I don't know that this is really intercontinental. It is a 120 volt amp, so that might not help your case. It's up to you if you want to forego your ticket, and maybe we can come up with a consolation prize for you. Or if you have the adapters or a way to adapt it, let me know, and we can, I'll be happy to send it to you. That's not the problem. I'm just saying, just so you all know up front, this amp is not set up for multinational. It's set up 120 volt. I didn't really think about that when I was starting the project. I thought you were. I thought I saw your name on there, but I could be wrong. And if you, there you are right there. Riley 0187. You had 3 tickets. I don't know if you meant to, but you do. And if you want, go back here. I'll actually show you right here. And I'm going to go into there so I can actually see everything. So Riley, is that you, right? You have 3 points. You're on the board. If you want. Murica, that's right. So, or if you want, here's what we can do. You can, if you can't win the amp because it won't do you any good to have it, let me know and I'll redisperse your points to whomever you wish. How's that? If you want to make it a little more interesting. That's up to you. I'll let you reach out. You have my email, so you're one of those vetted people that I was speaking of. So there's that. I thought I mentioned it right off the get-go, but maybe not. I know that there was a point kind of after it got running and I announced the game more officially that I mentioned it, but that probably doesn't help if you were already, ramped up on the game. I kind of understand that. That's why I really wanted to do this live stream here to kind of get everybody in the loop on that. My PayPal's open. Offer. Smart man. He's not wrong. So let's kind of just boil that down. Know that it is American. So if you don't have 120 volts to run it with, it is not going to work for you. Number 2, because it seems to be a thing. It's happened a couple times, it sounds like. This is a head only. Okay, so if you do not have a speaker cab, it will not do you any good to have this amplifier. You cannot run it without a speaker cab, and you need to have a speaker cab and a cable, etc., etc. So, again, if you're, in that realm where you cannot feasibly run this thing, please do get in touch with me at that legacyamplification@gmail.com and let me know so we can redistribute points or pull those cards off the table. He does. And so just to clarify, I know that not everybody's on the same plane with that. Due to my integrity, and I even talked with Andy about this, he won those points legitimately before all that other stuff went down, okay? So it wasn't like this isn't like one of those weird taking sides bit, just out of the integrity. He was playing the game, and before all that happened, he legitimately won those points, so he's on the board. That's it. If he wins, he wins. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I will grant that reward. So what happens after that, I cannot say. So, just I'll leave it at that. All right. No, we don't need to be fighting here. It's all good. Everybody's a winner in this game because you learn how to make the amp if you want to make it yourself, and you get the opportunity to win it for free. Oh, you'll give a ticket to Lederman, Maria, and Short Circuit. Okay. I will put that in my notes, and I will distribute those accordingly. So the same number of tickets will be in play. It's just going to be one less individual. So I will update things to that. So we want Maria, Andy, and Short Circuit. All right. Riley, you guys probably don't know it, but you owe them a bit of love because there's probably not too many people that would want to pass up on that. Even if they couldn't use the amp, I don't know, because I'd be the jackass trying to figure out how to rewire that thing for play. And thank you, Riley, for being, just a good sport. I appreciate that. So, and I'm sure everybody's going to love you a little bit more than me because I'm going to be so freaking honest. I love that amp. This amp is so freaking fun to play. Now, truth be told, I've never really had a 5e3 before. I've never really played through one before. So I don't know what a 5e3 is supposed to be. So maybe my idea of what a 5e3 is completely skewed because of that thing, but it's just fun to play. So, and you kind of got to hear it. So, no, today we got the, it's Jack Daniels, but it's the select, it's single barrel select barrel proof. So, Short Circuit, I can't remember where he's based out of, but I know he's American. No, well, so I've had my allotment for Red Bull today already. I try to limit myself to two bottles, two bottles, two 12-ounce cans a day. If I get much beyond that, I start pushing my luck. I start having heart palpitations and stuff. I'm just kidding. I don't have heart palpitations, but I try to limit myself. It is some damn good whiskey. Let me tell you, it's really smooth and it's so yummy. So, cheers to that. That's what it was. Yeah, that's right. Minnesota. Thank you, Angry Tube Man. Why did you have to change your name for any reason? Because I noticed on your page it says AC, but in your actual description it says Angry Tube Man. I'm just curious. Just trying to get, the 20-ounce ones. Oh my God. The 16. So here's my thing. I prefer the 8-ounce ones, but they're not big enough. Like I'll go through that in like 2 sips. And then like 5 minutes later, I want another one. Well, that's 16 ounces, right? The problem is you say, well, why don't you just buy the 16 ounce and be done with it, Luke, right? Well, when you buy the 16 ounces, I don't know, it just tastes different. And then, I can't drink that much that quick. So it's like that last little half of it. That's trippy. So yeah, that last little bit of it it's not as enjoyable, and I find I don't drink it as much or like finish it as often, and they're expensive, so I don't want to waste that money if I don't have to. So yeah, the 12 ounce is like the perfect size for me. Yeah, no, that's trippy. Why it is doing what it's done. So maybe that's just what I see on my end. Maybe you don't really notice it, but yeah, you were telling me about Amazon. Here's the other problem. So, I live in a house with a wife, and I have a couple kids that are here. I need to get my kids to want to move out, but that's some other topic, some other time. But when I say kids, I mean my son and his girlfriend are living in my place. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're not going to talk about that. But if I have it in the house, they'll probably drink it, which means I won't have it, which is going to bum me out. And I love my kids and all, but it's my Red Bull. Don't touch it. Anyway, moving on. So, yeah, we've been looking at this thing here for a little bit. So I will go through and I will divvy out those points, as we mentioned, in a little while. I'm not going to do it right now, but so you kind of get an idea of what's going on. I can tell you it is truly random. I can just assure you that. I ran, like I said, 5 or so instances of it, and every single time it has been a different result that you would not think it would be. Yeah, I could do that, I suppose, but I'm not trying to hide anything from nobody. You know what I mean? Like, I love my kids. Don't get me wrong. It's just, you know, I I don't want to put the temptation there, and I don't want to have to grit my teeth later on when I go to grab my last one and it ain't there. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So it's just easier for me to buy them when I'm at the gas station anyway, buying gas or something. So let's get that out of the way. There we go. All right. Other things to consider. So as I mentioned, get in touch with me at legacyamplification@gmail.com. Legacyamplification@gmail.com. Sorry. I'm not used to that email address yet. I had to pick one for it, and they wouldn't let me use the one that I actually own for my .com. So I do have a Park page. I do have legacyamplification.com. It is coming along. Andy, you'll be glad you see. I don't know if you noticed already, but I'm sure you did. So I got a .com. It is going to start getting populated here pretty soon. I was hoping to get one of those white boxes before this weekend so I can take actual shots of that thing. I don't know that that's going to happen. I'm going to look. Goodness gracious. As soon as I'm done here, if we finish in a timely fashion, it's a real show, everybody. Sorry, I had to get that one out. It was coming whether I wanted it to or not. But, yeah. Well, it could be you that finds a good home with it. And lucky for me, you're just up the street there, AC. You're out of the Santa Barbara area, right? That's all right. I live in Lompton, but I know if you're in Santa Barbara, you're just get popping a jump away. So it would be nice because that would sure save me on some of the shipping. I'm not asking for anybody to cover the shipping, but you're more than welcome to if you'd like to help out. It is a real show now. Just so you know, that's what makes it a real show. He knows. It's one of the answers, actually. So there's that. I can tell you right now that even the winner, we'll see how it goes. Like I say, I don't know who the winner is yet. If you do not get vetted, which is to say that you do not send me an email and you don't have an O next to your name, as seen earlier, then if you don't reach out to me in a timely fashion and I can't find a way to get in touch with you, you've got 5 days. 5 days. So Sunday, right? Count them. 5 days. So that means you got until Friday to get in touch with me, because if you haven't watched the live by then, you're not going to watch it in a timely fashion. And I don't want to hold on to this thing for that long. And I certainly don't want to beat your door down to try to give it to you. So after 5 days, if you have not gotten in contact with me or I'm unable to get in contact with you, the game will reset and I will steal your points and divvy them up to someone else, and we will redo the raffle. How is that for fun? So that's kind of the must be present to win part of this. It's not that you physically have to be present on the day of the game, but you kind of have to reach out to me. We're going to know who the winner is by the end of Sunday, right? So, if I can't get in touch with you and you're not going to get in touch with me, then obviously you really don't want this thing, because you obviously haven't been watching my channel enough to know that you won. So cheers, everybody. Yes, very much so. So yeah, I'll give you 5 days to get in touch with me. If you cannot do so, and I've made an attempt at you, then it goes back on the block and we'll do this again until somebody wins it that truly wants it, I guess you could say, and can honestly take ownership of it appropriately. So that's the must be present part of this whole thing. And then I guess finally is just letting you know that while you may win it on Sunday, and I can get in touch with you literally that afternoon or the next day, please do give me a couple weeks to get it out to you. I am a pretty busy guy. I work an 8 to 5. Run it full chooch. Yeah, totally. You can run it full chooch without the speakers all day long, dude. Give it a grow. Don't send it back to me though, because I'll keep it. It does not have any protections for that, by the way. I don't really like doing that kind of stuff. There are some things that you can do, but full chooch, as he's mentioning, even with those types of protections, won't protect it. And I don't particularly care to put the protections in because, again, it's a false sense of security, I guess. If you abuse the amp, you will lose the amp, period, right? So it's like one of those things where if you don't know how to use it, please reach out. Like if you have questions, reach out. I'm going to try to make up a user manual. I'll put out another video probably later this week that is more of like a user manual for it. Just to kind of go over some of the small details and the nitty gritty, like the little things that it'll probably be a subscribers only video more or less because it's going to be more aimed at the owner of the amp. So is Dead Kobe that guy? Are you referring to the turtle suit that the dude was wearing? Dead Kobe. Why do you look familiar? Because if you're referring to the I Like Turtle suit that the dude was wearing in his mugshots earlier, we might need to talk. But please do let me know what you mean by that, because I like turtles too, but not for the same reasons, I think. Okay, fair enough. So let me explain why I went that direction with it. There was a bunch of talk on several forums about the what was kind of mentioned as like a bulletproof. That's why I said I thought I'd seen your name before, so that's why I was giving you the benefit of that doubt. So the shooter, I'm not even going to say his name. I can't remember it anyway, but he was wearing a vest and he didn't appear to have a shirt on, and everybody's wondering, like, why would you put a bulletproof vest on a guy that isn't wearing a shirt anyway? Like, what's that all about? And it was brought up by those that know that that's not a bulletproof vest. It's actually a turtle suit. They call it a turtle suit because what it is meant to do is keep that person tied up in such a way where they can't utilize it to cause self-harm. Or those types of turtles too. Now, I have a turtle, a pet turtle. He's not a pet turtle. His name is Myrtle, the perverted turtle. Now, the reason he's called Myrtle, the perverted turtle, is because me and the wife, it was like the first like pet toy that we bought. Not toy that we bought when we were going through Albertsons one day. And it was just one of those things where it had these big old googly eyes, and it was just always like looking at you no matter where you were in the room. And we put it on this thing that was, in front of our bed, at the foot of our bed or whatnot. And it was just always kind of looking at you. And so we called it Myrtle, the perverted turtle. You get it. All right. So anyway, getting back to the whole turtle suit thing, my initial thought before I stopped myself was that I like turtle suits as a form of support for that guy and the reason why he was wearing that turtle suit. My apologies. So I rescind my thoughts and comments and just leave you with that. That's the why. So thank you for being quick on the draw. What to say to the news lady? Hide your children, hide your wives. So I kind of made it through most all of my details here. So yeah, I'm not going to chase you down. Please do get in touch with me. Give me a couple weeks. So this is going to get back on track. Give me a couple weeks to hold on to it, mainly so I can do some more, what would you call it? Marketing, if you will, or, stuff like that. So I can get some more pictures, get some more, sound samples and stuff like that. Just some sort of media out of it before I send it off, because I'm probably not going to see it again unless the person that gets it is, somewhat YouTube savvy and willing to put themselves on YouTube, because it's not a requirement, but it would be nice to have some sort of a review, saying, hey, this is the shittiest amp I've ever owned in my entire life. I wouldn't give this to my dying grandmother if her last dying wish was to get an amplifier that was handmade by some guy, right? You know what I mean? Like, so that. Or the other way around, of course, you'd be like, oh my God, I've never seen an amp like this. I've owned 100 of them, and this is the only one like it. It's worth every penny. Whatever it is, pay this guy all your monies. That one. That's the one that we hope. That's the one we're shooting for. Because let me tell you, that thing is beautiful. It does look minorly used now. It's starting to collect some dust. I will de-dust it before I hand it off to you, but as far as things go, it's going to look new enough. Like, obviously it's been kicking around my garage for the last like 3 months. So give me a break. It's new, but not brand new. And I'm the best amp designer on earth, bud. No. I am one of the best amp designers on this earth. How's that? Just so you know, Andy, I did go through a little bit more on the on your amplifier there. I just kind of looked in there for about 20-30 minutes and just kind of took some notes on where things were, trying to get an idea of what was done and how they did it. They did not use a center tap. They used an artificial center tap for the whole of the system. So I don't even know how they managed the bias circuit, because I'm pretty certain most bias, that would come off of the center tap for the secondaries. So that one probably got managed through that, but I don't really know exactly how they did it because it doesn't look quite right, but it does bias up. So, oh gosh. So who uses my amps? Nobody uses my amps. Let me explain. So I've only given away this one, and like I have like one other that got put up on a fundraiser, and then I have one more. There's only like a half a dozen of these things out there, right? So there's not that many of them out there. So who uses them? I was this close to getting it on Kenny Loggins' stage. How's that? Scott, one of the guitarists for Kenny Loggins, a freaking amazing guy. I was shooting to get it in his hands, but it just didn't work out. I didn't have enough time at the time. I ended up running sound or helping to run sound for that event, one of his last shows that he did. So it was just too late, too little, not quick enough. That was one of my hopes. But I can't say that there's maybe but 2 people out there in the world that own these things other than myself. Not exactly my plan. My plan initially wasn't to necessarily try to get these things into people's hands. I wanted to have a lineup first. I wanted to have 5 or 6 like solid amp designs that are completed in that state, ready to go, or at least built so that I can take media and photos of them and market it and then present it to everybody. So you guys knock it off. But the plan was to just have a lineup ready, and then, I have a local band that I want to try to kind of like sponsorship a little bit. I soft kind of reached out to them. They obviously have no idea who the hell I am, so they've never seen or heard of me. So I'm not expecting them to want to jump on it. But their amp, this girl that's in this band, it's her band, but the guitarist in the band is killer guy. And nothing to be sorry about, man. But her guitar amp broke during the performance that they did. It got rained on. Scoozy. And in either case, she pulled it off. We got through it, right? We made it all work. Well, at the end of the show, I was like, hey, I'm sorry to hear about your amp. That sucks. But no, I'm not trying to give them away for promotion, but I just need to have them at least to show. I mean, it would be kind of cool to give them to like people to like try out, kind of like, I'm going to say the name just as an example, but like Rhett Scholl or something like that, right? I'm not going to give him an amp though. Like, dude doesn't need me to give anybody. He doesn't need me to give anything to him. But obviously to get that kind of promotion, somebody with 1 million+ subscribers, they're not taking anything for free. They get paid to take things for free, which is not where I'm at. So not going to build a $5,000 amplifier and give it to you for free. Pick one, not both. So I have sold one, if you will, right? So we're getting to that point. We're just not there yet. I like everything to have all the ducks in a row. You know what I mean? It's like I was saying, A, B, C, D sort of thing. So I don't like things out of order. I like having all the ducks in a row. That's all. So my overreaching design ethos is just over-engineered, practical, built with longevity in mind, ubiquity, I guess, if you will. So I'm not trying to use rare parts that you can't get today, or you can barely get today and certainly won't be able to get tomorrow. So, ubiquity in that regard. And just to the highest build standard that I can think of. It's like, it might not be what everybody's idea of the ideal wiring might be, but, there's no arguing that it's done cleanly and neatly. And just the attention to detail is really where it's kind of at. It's more in the attention to detail. Clean, very, very low noise floor designs. So, you don't really know that the amp's on when it's on, other than that light, which is kind of part of the reason why I like having the light in there. And that part of it really, unfortunately, doesn't do anything for the sound of the amp, but I think it just adds to the whole thing of it. It's audio and visual. It's got both of those elements to it. It's not just a black box with a name on it. It's now a box with some sustenance. It's got color, it's got pop, it's got pizzazz, it's got all these things, and it's built to a higher standard. So that's the ethos behind it. No corners cut. There's no doubt that nothing was purchased because it was cheap. You know what I mean? Like, this is what it took to make it work, and that's the way that we're going to go with it. So those are the sort of the big things about it. Generic name possible? Legacy? Not really. At least I don't feel so. So the idea of legacy is, it's an amp that's meant to last forever. It's one that I hope is built to a level that you take pride in it and its ownership. And, you're not looking to just turn it over 5 months from now. Every time you look at it, you get inspired to play, and you keep it. And next thing you know, you give it on to the next, your next of kin, your son, your grandson, whatever it might be. Like, the idea is that you hold on to it for a long time. And the hope is that, obviously it ends up in the right hands and it turns into a legacy. So, I tried to think of all kinds of different names. I liked the logo that I had because originally, I was going to go with Luke Amplification, and every other freaking name out there on an amp is just somebody's name. You got Bogner, Marshall, Ignator, dare I say, because it's the same name, but you know what I mean? Paul Reed Smith, like all of them. All they do is just stuff their name on it. Bob Jica, it's just his name on the damn amp. Everybody's name is on their amp. There's very few companies that don't. I mean, Andy Fuchs, he's got one, but unless you know his last name, you wouldn't know that. Two Rock is about the only example of a company that is at the level that they are that doesn't have their name on it. You know what I mean? Most all amps throw your name on it. So I was trying to break away from that and yet still have boutique. So it's not Friedman, it's not named after myself and whatnot. And yeah, well, I wouldn't say we're the only true boutique guys out there. It's, I'm trying to carry on a classy level to Bad Cat, but it didn't used to be. Bad Cat started as, whoops, I'm drawing a blank right now, but Matchless, which that may not have had his name on it, but, Dumble had his name on it. Ken Fisher, interestingly enough, went with Trainwreck, but that was the name that he had before he even started buying amplifiers. So there's just those little things that I just try to move into another pocket, I guess, if you will. Luke Amplification just didn't roll off the tongue. A lot of my friends were pushing for it. The wife was kind of pushing for it. Some of my very good friends were pushing for it, but I was kind of just dead set on the whole legacy thing. The only pushback that I had with the whole legacy amplification aspect of it was because of the Carvin legacy. And, maybe Steve Vai getting a little upset with it, but it's the name of the company, not the name of the product, if you will, or the name of the one product. You know what I mean? So that's that. Sort of the same. Well, everybody, Gran Turismo, but in Gran Turismo though, those cars aren't. You know what I mean? Those are bespoke skunk works, if you want to call it that. Dare I say I'm kind of that skunk works? I don't know. Yeah, there's a multitude of ways to look at it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that's just the reason I went with it. Yeah, of course, obviously there's much more to having just a fast car. But then again, I don't know. The idea was to be elegant and classy and not just be some other guy with his name on the amp. It's not about me. It's about your legacy. How's that? I try, like, the passion's definitely there. I don't like doing things half-assed, right? I've said it before. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing, and anything worth doing is worth doing right. So, doing it right is a big thing. Of course, some people's idea of right is different than others. So, I'm not trying to box my way into the right box. I'm just trying to box my way into a box, if you will. And my way of doing it is to just make it inarguably better than 99% of the other punters out there. That's all. I do ride motorcycles, and I get the fun of that feel. And you're right. There is definitely a feel to it. That is a fact. And interestingly enough, just to give you an idea of that feel, having less grip on the bars actually gives you more feel. So if you ever, this is like one of those little tricks that you learn when you're racing or whatnot, or riding at speed. If you're ever going into a turn and you feel like everything's like, it's like hard to turn the bike, or like, why isn't this thing doing what I want it to do? Just let go of one of the bars. Bet you'll find really quick that bike will just go wherever you need it to go. Whether you believe it or not, a death grip on the bars is sensory overload. So literally, if you're going to make a right-hand turn and it seems like the bike's not taking the dive for you, let go of that left hand and just relax your grip on that right hand and just push. Just push. I mean, it just takes that much effort, just a little push, and that bike will go whoosh, quicker than you can imagine. It'll just do what you want it to do. The feel? So I'm all about the feel in my amps. It's definitely that touch. It's got to have that touch. That's a big part of it. I don't know how to explain it. I go for something that feels like I'm enveloped in it. Like when I play the note, like when I play soft, I want it to be soft. Like that's why I don't really like compression that much, and I really don't like what's the word for it? Just it's compression or lack of dynamic range, whatever you want to talk about it. There he is. It's about damn time he shows up. Mr. Internet Money is in the house. How you doing, my man? You know what I mean? So it's like when you play soft, it's really soft, and when you dig in, it pops and it snaps at you. It feels like glue under the fingers to a degree, if you will. So it's got that chew to it. I want it to have like that chewiness, without being, in a wall of sludge or nothing like that. But just, it's got like this gooey feeling under the fingers. I don't know. I like that. That's me kind of thing, that dumbly kind of sound. I really do like that kind of sound. That's not necessarily where I try to go with the amp designs. They tend to do that kind of thing, but, they're simple designs. There's literally I think at least 3 or 4 of my amplifiers are all just a single triode, more or less, going into the phase inverter in one way or another. I have one design that has 2 tubes that do the same thing. And when I say 2 tubes, I mean 2 separate channel paths that go into 2 separate sides of the phase inverter at the same time. They're always on and in parallel, right? But it's only that one thing in the signal path. There's no like cascading gain stages in either of my designs yet. I only have one amp that has a cascaded gain stage. And that one I'm still I'm happy with it, but I'm still not happy with it. Like it does a thing, but it doesn't do the thing. I'm still working on getting it to do the thing. Most all my other amps kind of do the thing in one way or another. And it's trippy that the ones that do a certain type of thing wouldn't be the ones that you would think. I have my 30 watt that is the EF86. It's literally an EF86 going straight into the phase inverter. It's kind of done up like an AC30. It's kind of done up like a train wreck. It's kind of this, it's kind of that. It's kind of my own thing. It's a lot of different things all kind of just into one. That amp is the Chewy god monster of them all. Like, it's just weird how it does that thing, and it's just weird because when you play it, you just want to do that thing. Bad amp is like a Line 6 Spider on the, oh my god, right? Ultra linear, is that what you mean by that, Blake? Or UL listed? Hi-fi. Oh, no, okay, yeah, so you're definitely saying UL. Ultra linear. I don't know if I necessarily want to go ultra linear. It does have its own little thing. Some people say it makes it sound a little too hi-fi, a little too stereo-like. I don't really like negative feedback, and with a ultra linear, you kind of need to have some sort of negative feedback in order to really make it work. It helps. Oh, hey, Bindi, how's it going? Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and thank you for subscribing. You'll see a lot of people that you probably already know. Amber is in here as well. Thank you for coming, Amber. I got kind of all the people I really care about in here. That's great. I love it. So yeah, I mean, that's more or less the design ethos that I have, is just, inarguable quality, period. Like, nothing else, no more, no less. I do have a switch for multiple taps. So I usually do, and I'm sorry, it probably looks like I'm looking up the whole time, but I'm trying to watch all your chats at the same time. So I generally use a lower voltage on the primary, on the HT, excuse me, which means that I have a little bit more cathode current. And I've talked about this before, and yada, yada, yada. Well, one of the ways to combat the cathode current to make life easier on the screens is to use a higher than is typical, not necessarily like eons higher, but just higher than is typical value of primary resistance for that set of power tubes. So that eases some of that strain on the screens. It reduces the amount of current that's flowing through that section of the amp, right? So that's kind of what I do, and it does impart sort of a thing. So that kind of takes it away from the hi-fi realm. Ooh, goodness gracious, scoozy. That takes it away from the hi-fi realm quite a bit. There's all kinds of just little things that I do that are a little bit different. They're not really like anybody else's. And that's kind of where I break away a little bit too. From most of the typical designs. I'm not trying to stuff 400 and something volts on the plates of my EL84s. I'm using a more modest 325 or so volts, which is still kind of even on the high side, I think. But, right in that realm somewhere. On my, even on my large tube amps, my Atlas, I think I'm running like 386 volts, I believe it is, on the power tubes of KT66s, and I'm running it through a JTM45 output transformer. It puts it really kind of in that sweet spot for them. It works really, really well. It's got bloom, it's got chew, it's got all that fun stuff. It just does those different little things. And that's the one that I have the parallel channel paths going into it that are always on. So Blake is just going. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Blake does, he basically makes his own power or transformers. So I've talked with him before. He's a cool cat. He's on one tonight. I think he's had one of these with me too. One too many maybe. I could be wrong. I'm just saying. I'm teasing. It's just a different way to do it. So the low voltage, high current thing, it's like most of us want the distortion. To me, it's not about getting every little watt that you can out of the thing. if your two tubes are capable of making 50 or 60 watts, what's wrong with pushing 40 watts out of them, right? Or 35 watts out of them, right? Nothing's wrong with that at all. It just gets you to the limit of those tubes a little bit sooner. That 5 to 10 watts or that 10 to 15 watts really doesn't make all that much of a difference. At least not a significant one where you're going to sit there and, it's make or break on that particular, amp or, on the stage or whatnot. Like, I think anything over 20 watts is kind of not superfluous, but like 30 watts is kind of the end of the line. If you have a solid 30 watts, you probably don't need much more than that, to be honest. 50 watts, I kind of figure as being like the end of the line. Like if you have a true solid 50 watts of clean power, which is what this new KT88 build is going to be, solid 50 watts of clean power. I mean, it'll probably spank like something that is generally a 100 watt amp, because it'll actually be 50 watts of clean output power, not just 50 watts of peak power, clean power. So, all about them screens, baby. Well, the screens will still be kind of up there, so I don't have to go crazy with the screens because I don't have to drop all that much on them. So they'll be within a reasonable amount of voltage. Especially with the KT88s, I can abuse them a little bit more. Right? So it's just like one of those things. I did end up changing the output transformer a little bit to something a little more suitable. I was initially going to go with a 3.2. I decided to jump it up to a 3.4. Based on my math with the voltage I'm shooting for, which is right around, I'm shooting for somewhere between 405 to 420, somewhere in that realm. I suspect I'll get about 410 actual volts on the plate at full bore, right? With that, 3.4K ought to be just spanky. Like that ought to be as clean as it can possibly be, up to about 45, 50 watts right in there. With low THD. We're talking like hi-fi levels of THD, total harmonic distortion. Anything after that, of course, the output tubes will start to distort to a level in which you can hear them. It should put out about 65 peak watts. I don't think you'll want to be around with it at that point because by then the output transformer will be starting to saturate, and that would be ungood. But give me just a second. I have officially ran out of beverage. Yeah, lower screens, a little more. It's not necessarily compression. How do you get it? It can kind of make it seem like it's choked up, but I haven't played around with it that much to be able to say that it's more compression per se. It just has kind of like that effect to it. The screen has more control over the flow of those electrons that go from the cathode to the plate than anything else in that amp. And its predominant purpose is to increase the... No, it was not cheating. You've got 4 more points than everyone else. And let me double check on that. Actually, I think you just gained 1 more point, compliments of Riley there, in fact. So you might have earned 11 points. More linear. So you're saying lower screen voltage, more linear. But yeah, no, the job of the screen is to make the amp more linear, more power. It's all those other fun things. But going too low on the screen does have the effect of like choking the amp out. There are a couple people I think that actually use the screens as like a way to kind of do like a quasi, what would you call it, like vari-watt output thing. Because you can get the amp to shut itself down if you go low enough on the screens. And then, of course, if you want to negate them altogether, you can just tie the screens to the plate and treat it like a triode, and that does its own thing as well. Also lowering the output power and increasing the distortion. It breaks up sooner. Oh, you didn't? I'll have to go back through my notes, but I thought it was Internet Money. I know that there was Andy. Let's see here. I'm going through things here. I'm not calling you a liar. I just want to make sure I got my notes right. Uh, Andy, Maria, and Short Circuit. You're right. My apologies. Andy, Maria, and Short Circuit. Hold on. Let me do a thing here real quick. Let me put a note in my thing for that. So I'm going to put a X on Maria. So I got to find her. Where'd she go? I know she's there. Oh my gosh. Saw her earlier. Now I can't find her again. Well, okay. So there's one for Andy. So I'm going to put a little X in there. And then you wanted Short Circuit, a.k.a. Spent Electrons, which is up here. Click. And that would be that. And then Maria. I've got to find her. She's in my thing. I see Mustang Sally. There she is. I found her. And Maria. And then X. All right. That's going to change up everything. Great. Now everything's changed up. I got to redo my whole dang thing. Anyway, sorry. He does actually have a USA zip code, and he does actually have 120V. Yeah, right? He does have his finger kind of on the scale. He just, let's see here. What does that add up to? So he just brought Andy into 6 points, and that brings Spent Electrons up to 7. So just when you thought you were in the dust, you can finally see light at the end of the tunnel. There might be more. I don't know. There might be other individuals still that come in and it can't play the game, and I may end up. I'll talk to them and see if they want to redistribute. And if they don't, then we'll just pull the points off the board. It'll just make the game that much shorter. But certainly did make the game a little more interesting. But Internet Money did not get screwed. Internet Money, I can tell you, you weren't here earlier when I was actually talking about it, but I ran the scenario on this 5 times. 5 times. You didn't win in either of them. And you have 10 points. Like, you have 4 points more than everyone else. Now, what I can tell you, you made it into the top 5 every time, but it's just the odds were not in your favor. In that realm, if you will. Now, that doesn't mean anything for the day of the game, which is, if you haven't already caught on, Sunday. And since we got a few more people here that are in the game, Internet Money, you being one of them, shooting for Sunday afternoon. What is a good time for you guys? I know that Andy's 3 hours ahead of me. I know that Short Circuit is in Minnesota, so he's pretty close to Andy's time. What are you, like 2 hours ahead at least? Or is it still 3 hours ahead? So it's 7 o'clock now here. So that means it's 8, 9, 10. It's 10 o'clock in Canada, New York. 10 o'clock in New York. So what time is it in Minnesota right now? Is it 9 o'clock or is it 10 o'clock? I do not know. I'm asking. I imagine it's Central Time, Pacific. I don't know how they freaking do that. I don't pay enough attention to the time codes. I got a phone that tells me what time it is everywhere I go. Okay. So that pretty much manages the spread of hours. Now, Internet Money, it's your turn. What time is it over there in your South Korea, right? Not that South Korea, South Vietnam or whatever the heck it is. I can't remember where you're at. You're good for, well, I know you're good for any time. 3 a.m. Yeah, we're going to do it 3 a.m. I'm trying to shoot for like midday for everyone. So I know that for me is pretty early. So like noonish, I want to say 11 o'clock, I dare say, which would put most everybody at 11, 12. So that's like 3 o'clock most everyone else's time. I know that's pretty late for most people on a Sunday afternoon, but my hope is that you'll really want the amp. And Andy is living proof in one of those scenarios, right? Andy in one of those scenarios did win, even with the 5 tickets that he's got now or whatever it is. So just saying, being honest, I was trying to make sure that things were going to be fair and that it was truly going to be unique. And I will say I was shocked what direction it went. Maria ended up in the top 5 in one of the instances, and she only has a ticket, 2 now, but you just never know. What? Do what start I got to do. I want to make sure that everybody's got the ideal time. I don't want to. I know that there's like at least 2/3 of the group that's not here, right? 6 tickets. Now 7. Okay. But it's I want to make sure that everybody feels like they're included or at least have a chance in it, but that's kind of why I made this title for this video the way I did. I kind of feel like if you're not really putting the effort in now, you really don't care all that much. Especially if I'm going to give you another couple days to reply to the video and make sure that people can get it, that you can be heard and have a chance to get some input on it. If by Sunday you haven't checked your thing to see that I've created new content and, I got the details out early this time, right? I didn't leave you hanging until the end because I know that this is bullshit to watch, but yeah, let's do it on 3 a.m. on Sunday. Matthew, that's great. In fact, let's do this here for you. Add as, and we'll make you that. Thank you for coming in here and all that jazz. Because you are up there. If I'm not mistaken, where are you? You have 3 tickets currently, Matthew. So you definitely want to be present. Anytime is good. Okay, that's good. So we're good there. I am going to shoot for 11 o'clock my time. That gives me plenty of time to get up in the morning and make sure I got all my ducks in a row, catch any last, emails or anything that can, yell at me about how I wasn't being fair. I didn't, play the game right, and have internet yell at me, internet money yell at me for taking some of his edge away. We're not picking on you, bro. But I definitely still have my group of favorites as well, and it's just mainly because of your participation, which is kind of a big part of what this was about. It wasn't necessarily about just catching views and getting subscribers. It's just subscribers, honest to God, don't do me any good at this point, unless they're actually watching this content. And I already know that this isn't that interesting, so if I have to give away an amp to keep you interested, that's fine. What I can tell you is it's probably not going to happen again anytime soon. My next build will be in a more of a live situation. I am going to have the second monitor I have here up before this weekend. And when I do start that build, which will be after I get the Cerberus done, so it'll be a little while. That's down the road a little ways, but I'm going to get the Cerberus done so I can get it back to Andy so we can start working on that. I know that you care. But so that we can start getting that raffle done, because I want that one to go well as well. So then we'll go that route. But to be honest, you have to think about the odds of this, right? So I have spent 3 months on this project. And out of 2,500 subscribers, and Lord knows how many other people that can possibly come in here and watch it, I've got 8,300 views in just the last 28 days. Do the math over the course of 3 months. That's a lot of people, and nobody seems to give a shit about this thing. 35 people out of thousands put in any kind of effort whatsoever into this. So you can kind of understand some of my don't really care about the subscribers, like getting subscribers. I care about having patrons that want to be here and be involved. I prefer that over anything, to be honest. So it's nice to be able to carry conversation with people and just conversation with people. That's great. I love that part. So those 35 actually gave a shit, right? And that's not even true here either. Not all 35 actually gave a shit. Let's look at my list here. I've got this gentleman called 420 somewhere. He literally came here from Andy's page. Literally just put in a subscription. I saw him there. on my board for a moment, and now I can't see him in there anymore. Don't know if he is still a subscriber or not, and he is probably one of those people that is not going to win because he's not going to show up. And like I said, after 5 days, after 5 days, if I can't get in touch with you and you don't get in touch with me, it's going back on the block. We'll do this game again. Richard Pope is another one of those individuals that, I don't really know where he is. Offset Guitar Tech, I know who he is. I know how to get in touch with him. I probably should put a 0 next to his name because I know I can get in touch with him. But in fact, I will do that now. Just because I do know I can get in touch with them. Maria Brown, I'm also going to put a circle next to yours because I know I told you to be here and send me an email. But you didn't do that yet. But John Shop Music, I know that I can find him. I've seen him before. He's just not viewable in my thing. But so there's like a good 10 people on this list that there's a high probability that they'll win and they won't claim the prize in time. And I'm not going to be lenient on it. If at 5 days I haven't heard from you and I know that I've reached out to you in one way or another, or at least made some sort of an attempt to, if you haven't watched that winning video within 5 days, then you didn't want the amp to begin with. You didn't care. So yeah, it'll go back on the block. You should do the stained glass thing, honestly. I am a huge proponent to the if you make it, they will watch it. And especially if you do videos on it and just post it on YouTube, if you make it, they will watch it. I finally started turning over a buck recently, which is unique and interesting. I am making just about $1 a day. It was kind of crazy in a way. I didn't know that you're supposed to hit these other buttons. Now $1 a day, that's nothing, whatever. My short-term goal is $10 a day. It would be nice to get to there. I don't know how that's going to work. Don't know. But that's the next short-term goal. I want it to basically pay for my Red Bull habit, kind of like I was saying the other day. Honest to God, Amber, seriously, think about doing it. I haven't seen anything like that, and it's probably something that would go. Like, you just never know. I mean, there's people that do stupid. What was that guy that was got like 1,000 viewers and all he's doing is eating corn on the cob or something like that? Like, how the hell? Some wiry ass dude. Okay. Knock it off. You keep doing that. Knock it off. That was not a ploy, by the way. Short circuit. Thank you, though. But still, knock it off. So I started by using I don't know if you have an iPhone, but there are free video editing softwares out there. DaVinci is one of them. It's made by Blackmagic camera systems or whatever. I can't remember. It's Blackmagic something or other. But thank you. $1 for today. But that is free. If you have an iPhone, it, honest to God, takes way better video than even this pile of shit that I got in front of me here. This is just good enough to be acceptable, but it doesn't do. It says it does 4K. This thing doesn't do 4K. I'm shooting this at 1030 or 1080p, 30 frames. That's the best I can get out of it. Why? Thank you, thank you, Andrew. So, there is that, but you guys got me all confused. Knock it off. Anyway, so here, watch. I think I can do these things. Oh, look at this. Look at that. I can do things. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. But don't stop it. Knock it off. That's not what this is about today. Just any kind of camera will do. I mean, if you have a 1080 webcam, that will work. Just point it down at the thing. I've seen people literally shooting these things with potatoes. OBS is free, and let me tell you, you can do this crap here. I mean, the green screen behind me that's making this possible is like one of those $50 ones. I got like a 10x8 or whatever the heck it was. It was like $35-$40, something like that, right? The camera that I'm using is like one of those Osbot Meet 2s or something like that. It's $100 and something bucks. So about the same price as maybe like a higher end, like Logitech, 4K camera. In which case that 4K, I do have a 4K Logitech webcam won't do 4K. Does not work in 4K. 1080 all day, but not 4K for what we're doing here. OBS is very, very, very hard on your system to get it to even this level here. This computer that I'm using is kind of beastly. Set up almost literally for this purpose. My friend Brian put it together for me. Yeah, no, it has a mirror in the back. Yeah, Blackmagic makes great stuff. Oh, damn. All right, well, you have fun with them trolls, dude. Not too much fun. I won't be there to moderate for you. A C4, if it ever gets played. Go boom. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I don't know if you can see it. Hold on, let me see if I turn this thing on, if you can even see it. Hold on. You can kind of see that it's on. Same with this one here. You can't really tell that there's a mirror in the back, right? But there's a mirror in the back. All right. Controlled chaos. Love you too, brother. You take care. Don't have too much fun. I'll see you in a few. We're not too long for wear here right now. I'll probably take a few more questions and get ready to go over there and moderate with my YDNA shirt. So yeah, it's the long-term goal for this channel is to just grow. I'd love to get to 10,000 subscribers. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ghost Boner. I'm trying to get to 10,000, but I want to do it more, what's the word for it? Not genuinely. I'm not going to say the word genuine, but like more not classfully either. I want genuine subscribers. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want people that come in here just because they can get a free amp. I don't want people to come in here just because it's a cool hang or something like that. I want them to come here because they want to come here and see the content, learn something, interact with me, because I love being told I'm fucking wrong. If you can tell me I'm wrong any time of the week, and I will look at it, apply some logic to it, and I'll either argue with you about it or I won't. And if I'm wrong, I will tell you I was wrong, and I understand what you mean, and I see what you're saying, and I hear you, right? And then adjust from there, right? There are some mountains. Yeah, right? Team equal. But, there's some mountains that are worth standing on and beating everybody off with a stick. There are some that aren't. And building guitar amplifiers really isn't one of those ones where it's like you have to beat people up with a stick. Yeah, right? I like going in there just because Andy kind of talks to people the way I'd kind of actually like to talk to people. Like, there are just some days where the stuff that comes out of my mouth when nobody's around and they say some of the things they do, you'd be shocked. I've gotten really good at, thank you, right? Compliments of Andy and you. I figure I'd show some love. Dude, knock it off. Thank you though. I appreciate that. You're too close to me. You don't need to throw money that way. We can go hang out and spend $20 on beer somewhere. Just saying. But thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, that's just where I'm at. I just really want to have a good group of people. Even if it was only ever 5,000 people, and that's as far as it got. As long as I got a group of people that is like what I've got right now kind of going on, I'd be stoked as all hell. My hope is to build a company that just grows on its own naturally. I'm not trying to force feed it on anybody. And I want the product to speak for itself. Kind of going back to Blake and how he was, going at me earlier. I want the product to speak for itself. And we're getting there. I'm not there yet. We're getting close, but we're not there yet. So, well, dang it, you just spent a wad of money. Now I don't want to go, so we can make sure you get your money's worth. Any other questions? Because I'm kind of feeling like we've gotten everything out for this. We are set up now for the game on Sunday, the big game on Sunday. I am going to shoot for 11 o'clock my time. So for most of you, that will be 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, thereabouts. I suspect it will only go for about an hour, hour and a half. So it won't be too long. I don't want to try to stretch it out any longer than it needs to be. It'll be kind of done in this very format that we're looking at here, where you'll see the other screen in the background and me sitting in front of it like this. I'll probably find some music to put on in the background to try to liven it up a little bit. Oh, you just now noticed? That was there for like the whole freaking 2 hours we've been here. Hour 20 minutes that we've been here. Right? So that's kind of the idea. Can I use coupling capacitors in series? Abso-freaking-tootly. Yes, you can. And in fact, what it does is it doubles the available voltage that they have. So let's say you have 100 volts that you're trying to send through that circuit, right? But you only have two 50-volt caps. Well, you can string, is it the other way I'm thinking of it? I think it's the other way I'm thinking of it. No, if you run them in series, it will double the voltage capacity that they're able to handle. So if you have two 50-volt caps, you would be able to handle 100 volts. But the values will drop to whatever half of the lowest value is. So if you had two 100 UF caps, you'd end up with 50 UF. Conversely, if you had a 25 UF and a 50 UF, you would get less than 25 UF. It works out to something like, there's a calculator, I can't remember what it is, but there's some stupid +1 math thing that you do. Are you adding blocking distortion? If you go parallel, yes. I don't know about in series though. I haven't messed with that in that much to say that. You're gonna take it and fucking like that. Like it. Oh. You're gonna take it and fucking like it. Yeah, that. Yeah, exactly. Opposites. Yeah. So series, you have you double the voltage, but have the value, whereas resistors in series, you would double the value, but the voltage stays the same. The handling voltage stays the same. Now with caps in parallel, the voltage stays the same, right? So you don't increase any of the voltage of capability, but you do double the UF value. So that's how that works. But the math on it, so, you know, if you have two of the same value caps and you run them in series, you just cut it in half. So if you had 50 and 50, you'd get 25. But if you had 50 and 100, you'll end up with less than 50. And it's like one of those half plus one sort of deals, right? I can't remember the exact formula for it, but you end up with less than 50 UF, right? Caps and large values, polycaps I want to use. Yeah, you can do that all day. Works great in guitars actually too. You can use capacitors in line in guitars if you're curious. Large values don't necessarily hurt. I think anything over 0.1 is probably a little on the large side, but you know, you can play with them there. In terms of circuitry otherwise though, yeah. So how does the depth control work? It's just the same as the presence control, except for instead of dealing with the high frequencies, it deals with the low frequencies. That is the asshole answer. The actual answer is what a presence circuit does is it dumps the high frequency out of the feedback loop, which then means that the feedback loop doesn't control those frequencies anymore, which is why the highs increase. Same for the depth control. So instead of allowing all the lows to get through that negative feedback loop, what it does is it shunts them out of the circuit. And when they're out of the circuit, that means the negative feedback loop does not control them anymore. Therefore, you end up with more lows. So does that answer your question? It's exactly the opposite of a presence control, but only in that it shunts the lows out instead of the highs. But it shunts them out of that circuit. So that means that the circuit no longer controls them is what makes it have that control. So when you turn a presence control up, you're actually turning out the stuff that's going into that circuit out of the circuit. It works in reverse. It's goofy. It doesn't make sense, but yada, yada, yada. But then the DC, for balancing, the DC path between. Well, you could use. So what short circuit is talking about there is generally what you would do in power supplies, not so much for coupling caps. In a power supply, yes, what the resistors do is even out the current over the top of those capacitors to make it so they kind of actually see the same voltage. And they're generally high enough value that they don't really do anything, I guess. So like 220K, right? 100K to 220K. They're pretty large in value. So there's not a whole lot of, voltage flowing through them. But what it allows it to do is that, let's say, in the circuit, right, you've got cap 1 and it's touching ground, and you got cap 2 and the top of it's touching your B plus rail. Technically, this one down here is closest to ground potential, right? So when you go and you turn that amp on, this guy here is doing all the hard work at first, because as far as things go, this one's already, open anyway. But then this one is the one that actually makes the contact to ground. So this one gets a brunt initially, but it doesn't have a direct path to ground unless through this one. So that lower one is the one that takes the hit. And that's why you use that resistor over the top of it, which is to help ease some of the brunt off of the upper one and then help even things out getting to the bottom one, so it doesn't just pop in there too much. Does that make sense? And then, of course, you have to have another one that goes to ground, and what that does is it helps even out that voltage flow through those two caps, so it doesn't stress them out too much. I was talking about it earlier. Good one. Excuse me. That was worth the $20 right there. I was talking about thermistors in another episode. Thermistors are a great way to basically not have to worry about any of that crap, and you replace dollars worth of stuff for not dollars, right? I don't like using those bleed resistors. I don't like using the bleed resistors because what you're essentially doing is shunting all the circuitry out of the amp. And you think, oh, well, that makes it safer because then, after 5 or 10 minutes, all the high voltage inside of the amp will have bled off, which means I can put my grimy little fingers in there and do my work. Bullshit. What you've done now is made it so that all the voltage has bleeded out of the circuit, which means the next time you go to turn it on, that cap is now completely discharged and now has to fully recharge the moment you turn on the power. Very, very hard on those things when you're using solid state rectification because the time on is right now. It's instant, right? Well, that's not good for capacitors realistically. I don't like using those bleed circuits because if the circuit is going to bleed it out, it's going to bleed it out. Over time, those caps will softly bleed down, right? Well, if you're going to turn the amp on every so often, it might not be so much of a big deal. So, if you know that you're going to be using an amp a lot over a short period of time, that's why, having tube rectifiers isn't such a bad deal. It's like a soft start every time. A thermistor is kind of like that. So the thermistor is at room temperature when it's cold, right? It's essentially like open circuit. All right, so it just shunts all the current away to ground, more or less. It's not like a direct short, but that's what it's basically doing, is shunting all the current out of the circuit. But a little bit still goes through on to the next stage, right? So it's like a soft start. The voltage comes up nice and gently until it heats up, because obviously that electron flow through that thermistor heats it up, and that heat causes it to rise up. It's got a negative temperature coefficient. That's why they call them NTCs. Negative temperature coefficient. So as it gets hotter, it actually conducts more and more like it's not even there, right? So it gets it shunts less and less away to ground, if you will. Or I don't know. I'm saying it wrong, but you get what I mean. It opens up more and more, allowing all the voltage to flow through it like it normally would. And then it sits there at X temperature and does what it's supposed to do. Well, the downside is they're not very good for turning the amp off and then immediately back on, right? So another reason not to use those bleeder resistors, because if you use those bleeder resistors, you're bleeding that current off, right? Which means if it bleeds off too fast, faster than your NTC thermistor can cool down, that means you can then turn the amp off. You wait 1 minute and you turn it back on, and it's essentially the thermistor hasn't cooled down enough. It allows all the electron flow because it depends on that thermal temperature of it. So if it hasn't cooled down enough, it'll allow all full electron flow, but your caps have fully discharged, which means then they'll get that voltage spike that we don't want. So I don't like using the bleeders for that reason. So even with an NTC, you turn it off, and so long as the caps don't have a direct way to discharge themselves, well, then they just sit there and hold a charge for a little bit. And let's say a few minutes later, you're like, oh man, I need to play again. So you go and you turn the amp back on. Well, the thermistor is probably warm enough to get most all of the electron flow through that thing still. But because your capacitors are already kind of charged, it's not like a dead short. And it is literally like a dead short. But compared to, yeah, exactly, right? So it's just to take the load off of the caps, because when a cap that is fully discharged, when you turn on that power switch and you have solid state rectification, all the beams are coming right freaking now. Voltage spikes and all, which means the larger or more efficient that your power transformer is and the larger your caps are, the more harsh it is on that system, to the point where it could possibly create a voltage spike that's large enough to actually hurt things, or blow up capacitors, or start shorting things out, light shows and all that fun stuff, right? Ungood things. Thermistors help. And then not bleeding off the voltage from the caps helps in that regard too. There, that's the long way of saying NTC thermistors are cool. I will be using those in my next amp build. Most all of my builds use tube rectification. I love it because it just means you don't need a standby switch. So I don't really worry about that crap. So here's the thing. When you're working on an amp, you should never be putting your bloody fingers directly on the components without checking that kind of stuff first. Generally, you're going to go in there with some sort of an implement. And when I say an implement, I'm talking like one of these guys here, right? So it's just a screwdriver. It's insulated. This is just an Extron one. I've had this one for years, and it works great. You're generally using an implement to lift the part or hold the part down or do something else, which if this is insulated well enough, you can touch things around, and as long as you're not touching the metal part of it, it's not going to spark, right? Well, you should be using something like that regardless, right? The next thing you're going to probably do is take your soldering iron tip, and you're going to touch it to some part inside of the amp. What I can tell you right now is most decent soldering iron stations have ESD in them or some sort of way to deal with that. They'll take that hit several times and it won't hurt them, right? Well, just doing that in and of itself, touching the hot iron to the B+ rail of your amp will discharge it anyway, right? What's the C-node phase inverter? I don't know if that's a trick question. So C-node is generally where the phase inverter exists. So A node is your is the center tap for your output transformer, right? That's where your reservoir cap goes. That's your A node, right? So that deals with the plates of the tubes. That's where the HT of the center tap, CT, of your output transformer goes that supplies the plates of your amp voltage. The B node is where the screens go. So the B node manages the screens of that power tube, which then just means that the only next logical node in an amp would be the C node, which is where the phase inverter would have to go 9 times out of 10. Not all the time. Oh, okay. I thought you were fooling with me there for a minute. All right, Andrew, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate that. We'll see you on Sunday, huh? And in the meantime, have fun and good luck, huh? So 1164 used a cap can, and they had 4 caps. So I imagine if they had 4 caps, they're either in series or parallel or something like that. And it could be one of 2 things. They either needed to deal with the voltage or they needed to get the UF up. And in my case, I'm using these guys here. And yeah, you can't really see that, but whatever, you know what I mean. So these guys here. So these are going to be ran in parallel. They're 500 volts. I don't have 500 volts in this amp. I will never have more than 500 volts in this amp, so I'm not worried. So if I run these in parallel, if these are both 100 UF, that means I have 200 UF. So it's a, much, much more rigid, HT supply reservoir, filtering. No, I'm totally, no, I don't, that's not what I thought at all. I thought Riley was messing with me for a second. I missed that question. My apologies. Wirehouse is bare hand. Yeah, no, one hand at a time. That works. I have not gotten shocked yet dinking around inside of these amps, and it's mainly because I'm either using an implement to touch things, so I'm not going in there with my bare fingers. And do keep in mind, I'm not really repairing amps either. Most of the time when I'm doing these amp builds, I don't really have to futz with them that much. I build them once, and I have to make a couple of revisions here or there. Like this guy there, I only literally had to add 2 components. So you turn it on, you hear what you need, you come back to it later. By then, it's already discharged anyway, and you add the 2 components and you're done. But generally, I already know what the component is that I need to mess with, and I get in there with this guy first. If you can get in there with the iron first, that will generally do most of the work for you. It'll discharge everything, and you won't have to worry about it anyway. And I'm not trying to be like dickheadish about that. I'm not kidding. Like, it might spark, but as quick as before you even have time to react, it's going to be done. Like, as long as the amp's not on when you do it, you're okay. And you'll know if the amp's on, because then you'll get the light show. But you might actually feel it. But most stations can deal with it. Now, I wouldn't say that about like your cheap. Let's see if I can get it out real quick. Yeah, here we go. Like these ones here, these cheap Radio Shack style ones. These cheap Radio Shack ones, these are literally connected to 120 volts. Like, I wouldn't trust that in that situation. But most of these other, like the Yihua 939D Plus is the one that I've got. I've also got a Schneider from Harbor Freight. The Schneider is actually a little bit better than this Yihua in terms of its overall quality, believe it or not, even though it is from Harbor Freight. But they're both nice soldering stations, and they both have ESD, right? Electrical spark discharge, or electronic whatever discharge. So with that, the Yihua and most of the stations have 3-prong, so they can deal with the grounding. That's why they're ESD safe. Whereas most of the ones you get from like Radio Shack that are only 2 prongs. I'm trying to get in the shot here. The 2-prongers I wouldn't trust, because those ones do go between line and neutral. They don't have a ground per se, technically. But again, as far as how much damage it'll do to you, probably none, because you got a plastic insulated body. So it's not like you're going to put your finger, you're not going to get it on the part and then just get blown across the room. It's just, I haven't had it happen yet. And I've actually touched the iron in on a hot amp before. Forgot to turn it off, and you're just like, oh, yeah, duh. It can deal with it. So as long as you're not being, like, goofy, I mean, that's why I always, if you watch the videos where I start the amp up the first time, I'm always like, unplug the power. And, I show you, like, that whole rigmarole. It's just, the reason to unplug the power every time is that that even if you leave the amp in the on position, you've unplugged the power at the very least. So it's what harm can it do for you? Insulated screwdrivers, yeah, it's probably smart to use insulated screwdrivers. Anything that's kind of got a plastic base, though. This is no joke, the one I use. So, it's got a metal tip on there, but I'm not generally sitting there with my fingers on it like that. I'm generally, holding the implement the way it should be. Insulated is probably better, though. The chopsticking, if you're going to do chopsticking, that's something else. Obviously, you got to use a chopstick, or preferably some sort of, insulated plastic. But I'm a little bougie. So, I use like the Japanese Vessel brand stuff. Because I'm that kind of guy. So these aren't insulated, but these are high dollar units, high enough dollar units. That's just me though. So I don't use the insulated screwdrivers. I've never had a problem. I don't know. Amp cooling, worthwhile? I don't know. Only if there's no noise. And yes, you're right, DJ Dross. Yes, safer. Obviously safer is better than not safe. Just if you're not going to be safe, then make sure you're not sorry, right? In a combo amp or an amp where the tubes are definitely, like covered for a large area, or the heat is going to stick with them. So, they're in a pocket, let's say, upside down, and there's a back sheet on the back that covers them, so the heat just kind of floats and sits there around them. In that case, yeah, I would use a fan to move some air around. At the very least, the challenge is powering it, because they usually are 12 volt, which means you either have to rectify some 6.3 and then use a buck converter to bump it up or something, or you got to create some sort of second input that goes to your, find a 120 volt version of one or something. Carno, welcome in. You're late to the party, but I'm glad that your move went well. Dang. Well, so this isn't the face reveal, but the other one was. But I decided to go with my face because on Sunday, which, let me double check, make sure I'm not putting my foot in my mouth. Pretty sure you're in the game. I want to say that I saw your name on there. Where art thou? Where art thou? Sorry, I'm not looking at you right now. There you are. You've got a point. You've got 1 point in the game. So you have a chance to win on Sunday. We are doing the drawing on Sunday, 11 o'clock my time. I don't know where you live. I live in California. So if you're anywhere on the Central America, it's going to be 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock for most everybody. So about 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock for most everyone else in America. If you live on the West Coast like I do, California, and yada yada yada, then 11 o'clock. Be ready for it. Sunday, this coming Sunday. I don't think I put a thing next to you. Let me double check. Gotta find you again. There you are. I don't know why I didn't put an O next to you. What it is that you don't have a what's the word for it? A public subscription to me, which means I can't see you in my thing, or at least I didn't see you in my thing. So now I have you here. I know that you're here, so you're vetted now at this point. I know I can get in touch with you because I have seen you come in enough. I know I can get in touch with you. You're in Quebec? Oh. Well, you're 120 volt there, right? Or no? Do tell. Because if you're 120 volt, this amp will work. If you're 220 or whatever it is, then no, it won't work. And if you want, you have a point that you can choose to give to somebody else of your choosing, or, oh, dang it, DJ Dross, you also have points. If I wreck this, okay, so 6.3 just use a voltage divider. North America, I don't know what the hell is up there. Is it 120 or is it 2? I don't know if you guys run on British Power or not. Or what are you guys over there? French Power or something? Right? I still love that show. Freaking Letterkenny. From Quebec. But no, so seriously though, what voltage are you guys running over there? 120. Okay. See, you guys are fine. I don't mind shipping it over the thing for you guys. That's fine. We can work that out. Hopefully it doesn't have to get crazy with what do you call it, customs or whatever, but we can always we'll work that out. You got to win first. Okay, good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I was going to say, if you want, you guys can give up your points and move them on, but yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, you could do that. So there's I don't know if you guys ever watch Rift Amplification. He actually has come across a couple of fenders that have those transformers in them. So instead of just putting the proper transformer in the amp to run at 240 or whatever, they take another transformer that runs at, X voltage and then just dumbs it down to 120 or dumbs it up to 120. Oh, that's crazy. That doesn't suck. That's freaking hilarious. I do recall you mentioning that before. I do recall that. I don't know. I think we can get away around the tariffs. I don't technically have a company, so it's not like it's like person to person. So I don't know. I gotta look into it. We'll see. We'll figure that out. If it's $500 to ship it, I might ask for some help. But I don't think it'll be $500 to ship it. We'll work that out once we get there. As long as I can get in touch with you, that's the big thing. Is I want to be able to get in touch with you to make sure that we can figure out how to get you your winnings. That's the most important part. I just wanted to make sure that somebody who was going to win wasn't somebody that was in a country that had like 240 volts or 220 or whatever the heck it was. Cool. I didn't think there would be a tariff for it. It's person to person, not company to person at this point. So yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Is declared as purchased goods. Well, it wouldn't be purchased goods. So I can insure it, but I wouldn't call it purchased goods because it's technically not. So Danny, you're a little late to the party on this one. Unfortunately, the game is done already, and I don't think you're in the game. Import tax, 5%, that's nothing. Like, it's basically I would insure it for what it costs to make it at most. And it's just so that way if it does get lost in the mail, at least I can build another one. Yeah, I'm not really worried. That's not cool, though, right? Of course, Internet Money would say that. He just wants to win, everybody. Person to person was outlawed. We'll have to figure that out. Nobody's won the amp yet. Yes, whoever wants to win the amp can win the amp. It would be nice if it was a guitar player because then they can actually appreciate it, maybe. I can only imagine a situation where like the guitarist is like somebody that literally started playing like a year ago and their idea of a guitar amp is, a Fender Mustang or something like that. And then they get a hold of this thing. Like they won't even know what to do with it, let alone like appreciate it. Right. I'm not saying that they wouldn't appreciate it, but you know what I mean? Like they wouldn't understand the difference. Dare I say, I haven't really come across an amp that I have purchased where I've been like just enamored by it, where it was like it was indispensable. Like I loved every aspect of it. And I'm not saying that I love every aspect of my amps, but when it's a real show. It's that when I play them, I feel inspired, like it has the feel and they just sound good. If you play the same amp through the same speaker rig and everything else, it doesn't feel the same. It just doesn't sound the same, obviously. So to me, obviously, your baby's the most beautiful. But in my experience, at least with the many, many amps that I've owned over the years, doing an apples to apples comparison, running that rig through the same, setup, honestly, mine sound pretty dang good. It's hard to beat anyway. And then the other half of it comes down to the feel. They just have that feel to them. They sit in your hands well, I guess, the glue that they have. And then lastly is just the look. Like you look at the thing and there's just no comparison. It's not a Fender that is plain and simple. It's not a Marshall that has Marshall written all over the thing. It's not just a plain Jane black box with somebody's name on it. This is definitely a step above a black box with somebody's name on it. So it's a Sans amp, right? Yeah, right. Meaning without. Damn. Okay. That's not. Well, I mean, that's $200K. That's not horrible. I mean, I only have to plop out $400 on top of your 2000. That's only a small stab in the heart, right? Oh, my signature is sick? Is that what you mean? Or the signature of the Ormsby? Oh, the Dino signature. Oh, okay, that's what you're talking about. Never mind. Forget about me. It's not about me this time. I have to check that out. I've heard about Ormsby. They've never really been. I have a tough time spending that kind of money. You hate headless slim guitars? Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. UPS. I was thinking more like FedEx, just because, but I don't know if we have to go DHL to get over there. Christian Siga. Okay. Okay, that's nice. I have just a Schecter, but it's like the first gen of Schecter 8 strings. I think they call them their Diamond Elite series. It's not a Diamond Elite anything. It's a veneer, over the top of this uber thick body. God, I want to say they used a chunk of, I can't remember what it was. Probably mahogany. I think it's mahogany underneath there, but it was like 1.5 inches thick of just the mahogany. And then they go and they slap a carved top on it, but then they just put the veneer over the top. So it makes it look like a maple top, but it's not. And then they put this 8-string neck on this thing. It's got a heel as wide as my hand or whatever, right? But they used a normal plate for like a standard 6-string guitar. So the neck plate that holds that neck on is literally the same neck plate that you use for like your Fender Stratocaster or whatever. It's like, what? They didn't even go like without a plate, and just put like the ferrules in there and stuff. No, they used a straight up neck plate. Keith Merrow would be cool. Yeah. I couldn't gel with 7 strings. Weird enough. Going from 6 to 7, can't do it. Went from 6 to 8, made total sense. I could wrap my head around that. I don't know what the deal was. I tried a 7, couldn't play it for my life. Picked up the 8, and it was just like picking up a 6-string. Not that I'm like a super 8-string player, you know what I mean? Like, I got it. So, truth be told, I was into the gent thing before they called it gent. Like, I was into that kind of thing. And I wanted to try to get ahead of the other players. I was hoping to get in a band and do like the 8-string thing before it became mainstream. And then Meshuggah freaking blew up. Not that they didn't already have not blown up, but then they blew the hell up. And then a few years later, freaking Deftones comes out with their Diamond Eyes album. Killer freaking album, by the way, if you're into the 8-string kind of sound. I love that song. But yeah, the whole Diamond Eyes, and then Koyo no Kai or something like that is their other one that has an 8-string in it. Both of those albums are freaking killer. I'm not super familiar with Keith Merrow. I know he did a bunch of stuff. Didn't he work with Ola England or something at some point, or didn't they kind of have their little thing going? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought maybe Ola and him had a thing for a minute. I could be wrong though. Oh, Schecter. Okay, all yours are neck throughs. Yeah, I don't have any neck throughs. I'm not a big neck through fan. Oh, they're all 8-string now? Yeah. I'd imagine so. That's just kind of, I saw it. So Agile was kind of at one point like the only company that you could get a really good 8-string from for a little bit of time. And then again, in my haste to just jump on one, I got the Schecter, and it's like the 26.5-inch scale. And I was kind of bummed because then I learned that, you kind of want to get either a multi-scale or something with like a 30-inch scale if you could for that, because mine does kind of have the flubby, soft, lows. Like the low string, you can't make it thick enough to make it work. It's satin. Okay. Yeah, mine's just like the normal. It's just it's an average guitar at most. I think it was only like $500-600 or something like that at the time, maybe $400 even. Cool. I'm so mad at myself. So I used to have a Fender P bass many years ago. It was a Mexican made one, but we're talking 90s era Fender P bass. And it was a beautiful guitar, and it was a really nice guitar, but I wasn't into bass, so I put it up on consignment to this company in my town, and basically the guy ripped me off. He was like, "Oh yeah, yeah. As soon as it sells, I'll pay you all the money." So I go in a few weeks and it's gone. And he's like, "Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's gone down to L.A. It's sold." I'm like, "Cool. Well, where's the money?" Oh. Well, here's $20. I'll come back next week and I'll have some more for you. Come back like the next week, he's got another $20 for me. He like strung me along for like months before I was just a kid at the time. So I finally went to my dad. I was like, "Man, this this guy's like yanking my chain or whatnot. Like, he still owes me like another $100, and it sucks because every time I get the money, it's already spent. Like, I was supposed to get $400 out of this thing, and no, yeah, whatever." Yeah, it was just like one of those deals. My dad went down there with me to go like squeeze it out of this guy. And I think he saw my dad or something because the shop got locked up real quick before we walked in. And then the next time I saw him, he had the remainder of my money. I didn't even have to say anything. It was just like, "Hey, man." He's like, "Oh, hey, I got the money for you." He must have seen my. So imagine me. I'm pretty diminutive looking for the most part, but I'm a stocky dude. Like, and even then, I was a pretty stocky dude, even at 145 pounds. Like, I'm a pretty yoked mofo. Well, my dad's just as burly. He's a gruff motherfucker. Like, you don't mess with him, right? He looks like that kind of guy you just don't mess with. So yeah, when you watch this kid that you know is coming for money come up to your door, and you see this gruff-looking dude come up with him with probably the look of disdain on his face, things change real quick. A good setup does make the world of difference. Honest to God, I think these days $1,200 is probably like the price for a guitar, where the quality kind of meets the value. I'm just saying, like, value meets, hey, Zab, there he is. Where you been? Welcome to the party. Hold on, do you have points in here? I think you do. Nope, you don't. That's right. You said you didn't want to play. $130. Dang, that's a killer price. I've always wanted to get the Ibanez stuff. I really kind of like the Ibanez, but just in my experience, like, once you hit about the $1,200 mark, anything beyond that in terms of overall quality just doesn't add up anymore. It's like the break-even point for quality meets, price. That's all. So, dang, I've got like 15 of you now, and I feel bad kind of zooming out, but we're going on 2 hours here. I've kind of beaten everything up. Wow, really? Dang, that's unfortunate. $1,400 is a lot. And Jackson makes some pretty good stuff, especially the original stuff when it was made in America, which is, they don't make that anymore. So, true story, my friend, I don't know if it's Jackson or what's the other American one that they have here? It's got to be the Jackson. So my friend, he's from the Chico area, and I guess he knew the Jackson family just about the time they started breaking out and kind of becoming, the Dinky was like the next big thing. Oh, okay, Headless, okay. Well, yeah, it has to be. It has to be. So, like, there's a bunch of guys that are on YouTube just going on about this whole tariff thing. And, they bitch and they moan about it, yada, 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 because now they can no longer get their $150 guitars. There is no point in this, in our lives, when a guitar should have ever been $150. Like, that's so dang cheap. It's just so dang cheap. And the quality of them, honest to God, wasn't that bad. Like, there was no reason for them to be that cheap other than they were just racing to the bottom. So, I don't know. Like, I don't feel bad. I think the price of these guitars have needed to go up for a while. And it's just killed it killed everything for freaking like Fender and whatnot. Like, $500 used to get you a decent guitar, 10, 15, 20 years ago. $500 will get you a hell of a guitar. Now, $500 doesn't get you a really good guitar. And then the cheap ones are cheap because they keep having to make them cheaper. And I don't know. They never should have been made to begin with. The waste of wood alone is just heartening, heartbreaking. Disheartening was the word I was looking for. Too drunk to fish. Well, Mr. Short Circuit, you have a wonderful evening. cheers to that, and I will see you on Sunday. I think I'm about ready to call it myself, everybody. It's been a wonderful evening. I've loved all your time and your chit chats, and this has all been just a great time. But I'm almost out of drink myself, so just to nail everything down one last time, Sunday at 11 o'clock my time, California time, so about 1 to 2 o'clock everyone else's time, we are going to do this giveaway. $10,000? Jesus. Yeah, I'll bet it was a sick. Better been for that price. That thing better have played for you at that price. So yeah, 11 o'clock, about 1 to 2 o'clock for most of you across the country. And we will do this thing. It should only take about an hour, hour and a half. I imagine maybe 2 hours tops to kind of get it all done. One note on the imports. Yes, sir. I'm not a fan of imports. They're great guitars. It's not that they're bad guitars. Yeah. Zab, if you're interested, come on in on Sunday. I know you're kind of across the way there, but buying it next. Yeah. Under 1K. Just different, but you don't get bitter. Yeah, no, I get it. Cheers, Riley. Thank you so much for sticking in there with me. Yeah, I've built a couple of guitars using import stuff. One of my red guitars that you've seen me play back behind me there is made out of. I'm sure the neck came from. It said it was a licensed product. I don't know for sure if it is, but I'm sure it was made overseas. And then the body was from GFS, so it was made overseas. But that combination of whatever that was that went together, that thing is the funnest guitar to play. The sustain is unreal on that thing, and it spanks, and it just has this neat feel to it. It just, I don't know, it feels different, and it's neat because it's made out of Polonia or something like that. It was a popular wood there for a minute. Now they don't really sell it much anymore, but it's really lightweight too, which is even cooler. So I don't know. And then I do all my own setup work and all that crap, and it's hard to beat your own setup, especially if you know how to do it. I think I've done one video kind of touching in on like changing strings. It's like the least popular video I've ever made, but maybe now I can get away with doing like a setup video and kind of help people do it for themselves. But honest to God, just buy the parts and do it, dude. Like GFS is kind of hard to beat. It's all import shit. It's all crap. But if you want to just get into the whole like idea of building it from kit first or some parts, random parts, it's a good way to get started, especially with them because most of their stuff is designed to kind of work together. So, other than that, like Schecter really does make some great stuff. I'll bring it out one of these days. I have a Schecter guitar. It's a $1,200 range guitar. It's got an ebony fretboard. I still think it's a veneer top, but I don't like the way it sounds. The bodywood itself, I think it's made out of poplar or something like that. And it has a weird nasally mid-range honk to it. I want to buy some different pickups in hopes that they will get rid of that. I'm looking at some Fluence Fishman Fluences or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, you guys, thank you so freaking much for spending all your time with me. And I am so looking forward to Sunday because I know it's going to be a fun day. And we're finally going to find a new home for that guy. I was hoping to make this video a little bit shorter in hopes that those that need to know can get through it and get all the data. But whatever. They're going to have to get through it because right now it's only about a 10-person game. So we'll see you all in the next one. And, okay, quick question. Fishman, do you like them? Like, do you think they do the thing or no? Out of curiosity, because I want to buy like a whole kit. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the JBs and the 59s. That's what's actually in mine was the JB and the 59, and it doesn't. It's just too honky. It's got too much of that mid-range nasally thing going. It could be my bridge. It has a real Floyd Rose bridge in it, but it's not like the brass block. It's like their aluminum block one, and that could be it. But please send me an email, man. I'm always down for contact like that. So yeah, please do. Okay. That's good to know. Right on. And they got the multi-switch thing too going on, so I think they have a single coil mode and whatnot. Deactivators. I'm not a fan of the. It's not the D'Addario. What is it? DiMarzios. I'm not a DiMarzio fan. I've never really been. I'm not even a fan of the EMGs. Now, I will say this. I did install. I have a friend down the street that is into higher end stuff. And he bought, it was like one of the Joe Satriani. No, not Joe Satriani. It was a Steve Vai guitar. Yeah, it's like the Junior. But it's not the Junior. It's like the step up above from that. It's not the high-end version of it, but it's like the mid-grade one. Anyway, he bought that. He didn't like the pickups that came in it. So then he bought a pair of the EMG, not Kirk Hammett, James Hetfield. He bought the James Hetfield pickups for it, the EMG ones that came out not too long ago. They actually sounded really good. I was actually quite impressed. And then the whole system that it comes in, the box and all that stuff, super-duper easy. Soldering-wise, you don't have to be able to solder to do it, but it'd probably be helpful. They make it so you pretty much don't have to, but very easy system to kind of wrap your head around, and they actually sounded really freaking good. I was quite impressed. So gem, yeah, maybe that's what it was a gem or something like that. It was the mid-grade model, whatever that is. It definitely wasn't the highest grade one, but he had me change out a couple things on it. I wasn't happy with the bridge he wanted me to go to. He bought like this, it's not a Wilkinson's or something like that. It's some other brand, but it's not quite as nice as the actual Floyd Rose. I think Floyd Rose is actually looking at being made in America again, which would be freaking amazeballs if they did. The Floyd Rose I have in my Schecter is by far the best Floyd setup I've ever come across. Like, it is just rock solid, and you so much as breathe on the bar and the strings will warble. If you bend a note, the strings will you can watch the bar move. Like, it is the most sensitive and most true Floyd Rose setup ever. You can yank on it all you want, it always goes back in tune. Maybe it's a Scholar or something like that, I can't remember, but it wasn't as good as the Ibanez one that came in it, I feel. But he seems to like it, and I can't say that it doesn't work. It stays in tune at least, but it wasn't as smooth as I would have liked it to be. Maybe it was a Goto. It sounds more like up the Goto alley. Definitely not. I don't know. I have it's the 2, whatever the 2 version is. I think it's just the more narrowed down version, like the more I don't know. But the one that I got is freaking killer, and I think it's the American made one, if I'm not mistaken. It's not their real one, but it's their, whatever. But anyway, guys, I'm going to call it. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.